Look at this. Thousands of tiny metal fasteners running in perfect rows across one of the most advanced machines humanity has ever built. Each one placed by hand, or by a machine calibrated to a tolerance of thousandths of an inch. Now ask yourself, why? We can weld steel bridges that carry hundreds of thousands of cars a day. We can weld pipelines that stretch thousands of miles under the ocean. We can weld pressure vessels that hold gases at pressures that would kill you instantly if they failed. We have the technology to fuse metal so perfectly that the joint becomes stronger than the original material. So why, in 2024, does a $150 million stealth fighter look like it was assembled with a hole punch and a bucket of metal nails? The answer isn't laziness, it isn't cost-cutting, and it definitely isn't that aerospace engineers haven't figured out how to weld. The answer is that on a fighter jet, a rivet isn't a compromise. It's a solution to a set of engineering problems so brutal, so specific, and so unforgiving that welding, in most applications, simply cannot compete. And understanding why is going to completely change how you look at every aircraft you ever see again. To understand why rivets dominate military aviation, you first have to understand what welding actually does to metal. Not what it looks like from the outside, but what's happening at the atomic level. When you weld two pieces of aluminum or high-strength steel, you're not just sticking them together. You are locally melting the metal, introducing an enormous amount of thermal energy into an extremely small area. That heating and cooling cycle, called the heat-affected zone, or HAZ, fundamentally changes the metallurgical properties of the material around the joint. Grain structures are disrupted, residual stresses are baked in, and in high-strength aluminum alloys, the kind that make up a huge portion of an aircraft's structure, you can lose up to 40% of the material's original tensile strength right at the joint. 40%. On a machine where every pound of weight and every pound of structural integrity has been calculated to the decimal point, that is a catastrophic trade-off. The aircraft designers at Lockheed, Boeing, and Northrop Grumman aren't using rivets because they can't weld. They're using rivets because, in aluminum, a properly installed rivet joint can maintain the strength of the base material in a way that a fusion weld simply cannot. Here's what a rivet does that a weld doesn't. It clamps. When a rivet is set, the tail is deformed outward, creating a compressive clamp load that squeezes the joined panels together. That compressive stress actually preloads the joint, which means the joint has to overcome that preload before it even begins to experience tensile stress. In materials science, that's an enormous advantage. You're essentially giving the joint a head start. Now we get to the reason that keeps aerospace engineers up at night: fatigue. Every time a commercial or military aircraft takes off, the fuselage pressurizes. Every time it lands, it depressurizes. The cabin walls, the skin of the aircraft, flex inward and outward with every single flight cycle. A short-haul airliner might experience 75,000 of these cycles in its lifetime. A fighter jet, with its violent maneuvering, high G-pulls, and supersonic flight profiles, experiences stress cycles of a completely different magnitude, potentially millions of micro-stress events on a single sortie. Under repeated cyclic stress, metals crack. Not from being overloaded once, but from the slow, progressive initiation and growth of microscopic cracks, usually starting at stress concentrations. Those concentrations? They love welds. The heat-affected zone, the residual stresses, the grain boundary disruptions, they are prime real estate for fatigue cracks. But here's where rivets have a physical trump card: crack arrest. A riveted aircraft skin is made of discrete panels, joined at lap joints. If a fatigue crack initiates in one panel, it propagates. But when it reaches the edge of that panel, at the rivet line, it stops. The crack cannot jump the gap between panels. The damage is contained. The structure is fail-safe, which is not just a nice-sounding phrase. It's a specific design philosophy mandated by aviation certification authorities worldwide. In a welded structure, there is no gap. The material is continuous. A crack that initiates can theoretically run for feet before something stops it. And by that point, structural integrity may already be compromised beyond recovery. The Comet airliner disasters in the 1950s the world's first jet airliner crashes, were partly attributable to this exact phenomenon, accelerated by square windows with welded corners that concentrated stress. The industry learned from that tragedy, and riveted lap joint construction with round stress relief features became standard doctrine. Everything above applies to any aircraft. But for military fighters, the problem is multiplied by orders of magnitude. A commercial airliner maneuvers at a maximum load factor of about 2.5 G. An F-16 Viper is designed to sustain 9 G. That's 9 times the force of gravity, applied to every component of the airframe, in dynamic, unpredictable, rapid onset bursts. At 9 G, a 200-pound pilot weighs 1,800 pounds. The airframe, every bracket, every fastener, every joint, is experiencing the same multiplication. And unlike the predictable repeating cycle of a commercial aircraft's pressurization, a fighter's load profile is chaotic. A snap roll, a high-speed jink, a pull-off targeting an adversary. The stress events are irregular, high amplitude, and relentless. In this environment, the continuous nature of a weld becomes a liability. A monolithic welded structure, when subjected to these loads, has nowhere to distribute stress except through the material itself. And if the material yields at a weld, the entire section is compromised. But in a riveted structure, the load is distributed across hundreds or thousands of individual fasteners, each one a discrete load path. The redundancy is engineered into every square inch of the skin. There's another critical factor here: differential thermal expansion. A fighter jet goes from sitting on an airfield in 110-degree desert heat to cruising at altitude where temperatures drop to minus 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and back, potentially multiple times in a single day. Different materials, aluminum skin panels, titanium frames, steel fittings, all expand and contract at different rates. A rigid, continuous weld would fight that movement, building up thermal stresses cycle after cycle until something yields. Rivets? They allow micro-movement. The panels can shift slightly at the joint. The fastener hole provides just enough compliance to absorb the differential expansion without transferring it as stress into the structure. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Now, everything we've talked about applies to any high-performance military aircraft, from the F-86 Sabre to the A-10 Warthog. But for fifth-generation stealth fighters, the F-22, the F-35, China's J-20, there's a completely new dimension to the riveting question: radar cross-section. Every protrusion on an aircraft's skin is a potential radar reflector. Every gap, every step change in panel height, every antenna and hinge and fastener head creates a radar return. Stealth aircraft are designed from the ground up to manage those returns, to redirect radar energy away from the source, rather than bouncing it back. The rivets on an F-22 are not just structural fasteners. They are flush rivets, machined to sit perfectly level with the surrounding skin, with tolerances measured in thousandths of an inch. The panel edges are aligned so precisely that the gap between adjacent panels is barely visible. Some sections use countersunk rivet patterns that eliminate surface discontinuity entirely. The shape of the rivet head, the alignment of the rows, the spacing, all of it is calculated not just for structural performance, but for electromagnetic performance. Welding, ironically, creates its own radar problems in this context. Weld seams are not perfectly flat. The heat-affected zone can create subtle surface deformations, ripples, and steps that disturb the airflow and create localized radar returns. In the context of stealth engineering, where designers are trying to reduce radar cross-section by orders of magnitude, a precisely installed flush countersunk rivet is actually a better solution from an electromagnetic standpoint than a weld bead. It would be wrong to leave you thinking that welding has no place in modern military aviation, because that's not true, and the story is changing fast. Titanium is a different case entirely. Unlike aluminum, titanium actually benefits from certain welding processes in controlled environments. The F-22's titanium structural frames, the skeleton of the aircraft, are extensively welded using electron beam welding in a vacuum chamber, a process that eliminates the oxidation problems that plague conventional welding and produces joints with metallurgical properties approaching the base material. And then there's friction stir welding, a process that sounds impossible but isn't. Instead of melting the metal, Friction stir welding uses a rotating tool to plasticize the material below its melting point and literally stir the two pieces together. Because the metal never actually melts, the grain structure disruption is minimal. The heat-affected zone is tiny, and the resulting joint strength can be comparable to or better than the base material, even in aluminum. Friction stir welding is already used in parts of modern aircraft, including sections of the F-22's wing structure and the Space Shuttle's external tank, and its use is gradually expanding across the aerospace industry. However, it typically supplements rather than replaces riveting. That's because some structural advantages of rivets remain extremely difficult to match. They help stop fatigue cracks, provide redundancy in load paths, better tolerate thermal expansion, and make inspection easier. One of the most overlooked benefits is repairability. If an aircraft suffers combat damage or a ground incident, a riveted panel can be removed and replaced quickly in the field without affecting the surrounding structure. A welded section, on the other hand, often requires cutting, grinding, heat treatment, and specialized inspection, which may only be possible in major maintenance facilities. In operational conditions, that difference can determine whether an aircraft flies again the next day or remains grounded for weeks.